Hey everyone, Pugs here with two new reviews for y'all. Today, I'm covering Snooze You Lose and Krusty Katering. Uh, if someone could think of a connecting thread for these episodes for me, that would be great, because I'm fresh out. So, yeah. I guess I'll just awkwardly shimmy on over to the part where I say thank you to everyone who's checking out the video today. I appreciate each and every one of you. And now, let's just get right into it. So, a good half of the reason why I struggle to think of a connection between Snooze You Lose and its sister episode is because Snooze You Lose is a forgettable episode. Like, before I went and refreshed my memory of it, I couldn't really tell you what happened in this episode. And so, this is our first forgettable episode in a while. Or, I should say it's my first forgettable episode in a while. I'm not sure if others have this problem. Housewarming was also on the forgettable side, but I still had a good idea of what it was about. And even though I know that this episode isn't Don't Wake Patrick, that's the episode I always think about instead of this one, so either that or I think this one is I Heart Dancing or Slimy Dancing. Man, those episodes are similar. But seriously, I feel like this episode should be more memorable considering that J.K. Simmons guest stars here. But alas, that's just not the way that this cookie has crumbled. So, the general premise of Snooze You Lose is Squidward falling asleep and being unable to get up for his audition. So, SpongeBob and Patrick, help. So you can see why I'm mixing this episode up with some other ones, right? Snooze You Lose begins with Squidward very relatably being unable to get to sleep. I feel you, buddy. My only recourse is turning on some jazz radio and hoping for the best. And of course, SpongeBob and Patrick don't help things for him either, having a burping contest of all things at SpongeBob's house. Though SpongeBob does end up giving Squidward some seemingly useful advice. After teleporting inside his house, of course. I like how Squidward can't even be bothered to scream about SpongeBob doing that. The first real funny moment of the episode comes when Patrick downs a whole soda bottle and is about to burp, and he's like, "Tell my parents I love them." That was good. After walking for a while, Squidward ends up going to SpongeBob's house instead of his own. I'm interested to see what shenanigans this will lead to because I'm hoping that these minutes of setup will go somewhere. So far, I'm feeling quite neutral about the episode, as other than one or two moments, I haven't been too amused yet. But so far, we're doing better than housewarming, so that's a plus. Everyone falling asleep on SpongeBob, who makes himself a mattress, was wholesome and cute, so that's another plus right there. And things start getting into motion once morning comes, and SpongeBob and Patrick are unable to wake Squidward up for his audition. The bit with Patrick freaking out about waking up, not in his house was pretty funny, I'll say that. SpongeBob and Patrick's attempts to wake Squidward up are less amusing than that bit, but they're not boring, so I'm mostly pleased. The part where they create a Squidward clone in a lab was hilarious, though. That's the kind of randomness I like to see from this show. This episode is hilariously disturbing, which is a type of humor that requires skill. And I think this episode's got that skillful touch, because I wasn't grossed out by anything here. SpongeBob and Patrick climbing inside of Squidward to control him is just funny and bizarre to me, not nasty or cringy. And I love how everyone who comes across the controlled Squidward finds him very disturbing. It's just too funny. And don't think I forgot about the random explosion, because I didn't. Y'all know that's one of my favorite running gags in this show. And I love how the bus driver ain't even fooled. That bus driver is one of my favorite background characters. He's been around for so long now and is always funny. Finally, SpongeBob, Patrick, and the sleeping Squidward make it to the audition, which is where we meet J.K. Simmons' character, the judge. You know what? I'm not shocked at all that that's the character he's playing. Like he always is, he's great. As SpongeBob and Patrick manage to actually start wowing the judge, Squidward wakes up and quickly becomes privy to what's going on. SpongeBob and Patrick fighting against the awake Squidward was actually unexpected, but it was entertaining, so that's a nice surprise. And of course, once Squidward expels SpongeBob and Patrick, his clarinet playing quite literally breaks buildings, leaving him on a bus home with the clarinet around his head. Hey, at least his clone plays a mean building. Snooze You Lose was a perfectly serviceable episode. I think that's the best way I can describe it. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. It was decently enjoyable, but not an episode I would particularly seek out. But I wouldn't avoid rewatching it either. It's simply good, which is the tier that it's being put in with a score of 7 out of 10. You know, I've been pretty excited to get to this episode. Krusty Katering is basically the beginning of what I see as a little series of episodes with the title scheme of Krusty and then another word beginning with K that is typically not spelled that way. And yes, we've had episodes with this title scheme before, but these episodes are also connected by having similar plots, with the Krusty Krab venturing into a new business practice or scene. And yes, I know that this is also a common plot, but listen, these episodes just have a vibe and should be grouped together, that's all there is to it. This episode begins in medias res with the Krusty Krab catering a kid's birthday party. This scene is probably the funniest scene between Mr. Krabs slash the Krusty Krab and random kids since Krabbyland. The kids being absolute terrors is a trope we know all too well, and it's hilarious. Squidward seeing them as germ factories is 100% justified too. This scene really goes like rapid fire with the jokes, and I, of course, can't go through them all. Just know that I really liked this scene. It had me laughing and chuckling. Also, Plankton being the pinata is hilarious, and this is one of those episodes where Patrick is a part of the Krusty crew, and he too is not having the best luck entertaining the kids. Actually, none of the crew are, and it's just too funny. When the crew make a break for it, they run into an ultra-rich lady, Lady Upturn, though that's not what she's called in this episode, but this is still her debut, so that's neat. Said rich lady is waiting for her own catering, and of course, we all know what this means. Mr. Krabs is gonna want that cash. So now the Krusty Krab is catering a rich people party. The bit between Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob was really funny and cute. SpongeBob's angry face is just adorable to me. And Mr. Krabs using Squidward to give everyone tuxedos was pretty smart writing, especially considering how rarely Squidward's ability to ink is used in the show. One thing I really like about this episode is that it splits up the 4 characters, leading to an impressive balancing of 4 tiny subplots, and all these little subplots are good too. We got SpongeBob trying to pretty up the patties, Mr. Krabs trying to get rid of the little kid and return the jewels SpongeBob Loki stole, Patrick handing out the food but being extremely possessive of it, and Squidward trying to join the live music. These are just an enjoyable way to spend the rest of the episode. The main plot is, of course, Mr. Krabs and the boy, especially as we get almost emotional for a second there before the rug is pulled out from under us, or under the boy to be precise, because we all know who Mr. Krabs is. And of course, all 4 of the plots come crashing back together as we move into our chaotic SpongeBob SquarePants ending. Now, here's a fun fact. Whenever I talk about chaos endings and how much I love them, this is the episode that comes to mind for me. I don't know, maybe because it's one of the most chaotic endings this show has had, maybe it's because it's the result of a bunch of plot lines coming together and is thus more memorable, maybe because the episode ends with the chaos still going on as the wave with everyone on it rides into the sunset. I'm not sure what the reason is. And whatever the case may be, the fact is I love this chaotic ending. It's funny and very entertaining and a great way to close out this episode, not to mention that ending shot is gorgeous. I really liked Krusty Katering. Like, I've got no complaints at all. It's funny as hell, and I adore the quick pacing of this episode, helped immensely by how it is split up amongst our 4 central characters, and it's always nice to bear witness to the debut of a recurring character as well. Definitely an episode that's going in my amazing tier, where it comes in with a score of 9.4 out of 10. As always, I'll be ending this video with some closing thoughts of mine. Not much is really coming to mind today. Nothing related to these episodes at least. The other day I noticed that my first review on this channel reached 10k views, so that was pretty neat. It's weird to have so many eyes on this channel, but I love it too. Thinking of the episodes again, it's nice, I think it's neat to see Lady Upturn here back before she was even going to be a recurring character, because, I mean, it's clear that that was a development that came later, with her name being changed and us not seeing her again until season 11. I think people don't like her character, but I find her very amusing. Also, we need more regularly appearing women characters in this show, or at least more characters that aren't just cisgender men in the way of seeing that as the prototypical person, if that makes sense. I'm not going to elaborate right now. Alright, well, I guess that's really all I've got to say anyway. Not really much for me to talk about here, so I'll go ahead and end the video here, and I'll see y'all in the next review.